I mentioned in the last video that I'd show you the next phase of these Infinity and models, and here I am just putting the lid on that Humbrol so it doesn't just turn into one big blob of rubber. Anyway, so you can see now, you see the shine on there, that is the Humbrol Maskol, which dries to a kind of a rubbery shine. Of course, what's going to happen to that is the airbrushing that I do to make these areas blue to match with the other blue that I've done on the tag here will cover this area blue as well initially, because I'm not that good at keeping my airbrush in exact locations, especially when it's this fine detail. But then afterwards, once the airbrushing's done, I'm going to peel off with a cocktail stick or something similar. I may also use a pair of tweezers to peel some of the rubber off, and that will then reveal the red beneath, like I did on this guy. So up on this area here you can see I've got quite a clean line between the two different areas. This was red painted initially, and it's red underneath this area too, but then I put the Maskol on here, airbrushed all the new colours on, and finally the last thing I did was sort of tear off the rubber, which is quite a satisfying thing to do. You know, if you ever picked a scab from yourself, which some people find really entertaining, not myself personally, but it's a bit like that. You sort of tear it off and you reveal the magic. The magic is revealed of the colour underneath, giving you that nice sharp edge between. So that's where I am with this. And what I've done is, on a couple of them, let me see if there's one that I can demonstrate that on. Yeah, you can see where I've gone in. There you can see it's glossy, that's going to be red. The kind of puffy collar, that'll be red. So it's going to have a red arm, a red collar. This one will have a red collar. You can't quite see the shine from the Maskol. Yeah, you can see that's the Maskol dry. It looks gloss, but it dries almost clear. So this is it. This is the goop itself, which I shall show you. Here we are. Ooh, and I'll tell you what, it smells like sort of white spirit mixed with fish oil. And it's this sort of purple runny stuff. Of course, it dries almost clear once it's dry. Some people will put a little bit of tab of paper underneath, but when you're dealing with something this small, I can't get a tab of paper underneath it to help peel it off, because it can be tricky to peel it off, especially when you've got lots of little tiny edges. There's an example of that where I probably made a mistake, although the final results turned out okay. I used it in here, and the different blue areas you can see are some paint that's got through, but it was quite hard and took a long time to peel it off from this inner workings area here because of all the texture. It's much better and easier to peel off just simple areas like this than if you had sort of bundled of cables and things in there. So I was saying on this one, I've done a couple other things, like I've put the Maskol on this one panel going around the back here, leaving it open in the middle. So this will all be blue down there, like a sort of spine going down. This one will remain red once I've torn the Maskol off and revealed the red beneath. So I've only actually got a couple more to do the Maskol on. I mean, I'm just picking out details. Generally speaking, all the collars and kind of tops of their arms, which I sprayed red, are going to stay that colour. One thing, first of all, I do with stuff like this that you don't use that often, which has a tendency to dry out as well. You can hear when I shake it, it rattles, and that's because I've put two of these metal, here's in German, Agitatorkugel deal. In other words, they're agitators, and I put two of those in there. Shake it about, and it just means it gives it a really good shake and gets any clegg and gubbins off the bottom when you do that shaking. In fact, just general tip, almost all my paints I have that in. there's a a rust light shadow from Life Color, and you can hear I put 1 in there, and it just means it just pulls all of the goopy paint off the bottom. Of course, that's the problem when you switch to these kind of bottles, which are quite convenient bottles in terms of squeezing just a small amount of paint out, but you can't put. It's not easy to get those metal balls in to keep them agitated. So, swings and roundabouts, really. And so, without further ado, give this another quick shake. Open it up, let you see the goop. Now, if you could smell that now, it'll be fantastic, but technology isn't there yet. And, well, I've used different brushes. I used this one that's gone a bit cleggy now. I've got another one. Oh yeah, by the way, you clean this with... I've got White Spirit here, bottle of White Spirit, really cheap, available from most hardware stores. And basically, once you've got enough of this goop on the brush and you've painted a couple of figures, you end up having to clean it. I mean, really thoroughly with the White Spirit. Otherwise, it's just like painting with a blob of this stuff. Anyway, because I've shaken it up, I've got some in the bottom there. I'm gonna use. There you go. If I leave that for like any amount of time, that is just going to turn into a hard blob of rubber on the end of there. So straight away I can see look that his top of his arm there. I want that to stay red. I'm just going to mask it over. Now, be aware, I'm doing this on the camera, so it's nearly impossible to do it right. But there you go.